Hey, welcome back to the table, and today we're going to put together one of the frigates from Black Seas. I'll probably build both, but we'll just build one on camera to see what that's like. No fancy time lapse or anything like that. We'll just kind of go through it here. Got the instructions. I was just kind of looking it over. They don't look overly complicated at all. So we got the three masts to put on. Then you've got the hull to put together, which looks like it's just a few parts. And like I was looking at the other day, you're going to put the two side holes together, and then this top part, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a bottom. So if you picked it up and looked underneath, you'd see right into the ship. So that's fine. It's got a back piece, a couple parts that go on the masts. Looks like on the very back mast there, I got these that come out. Front part, yeah, not many pieces at all, so I don't think that'll be too bad. Now, one thing, I've got my sprue cutters here, but some of these parts are kind of really flimsy, so I might just cut them out with the X-Acto blade, which, you know, all of it, when you're kind of dealing with these spindly parts, it's a little tough because no matter what you do, you don't want to break something. So let's see. The whole part shouldn't be too bad. Now, I'm not an expert model builder, so I know some people that will sand down all the nubs and stuff. I don't have sandpaper. Oh, those are already coming off. What I'll do, and I'll show you what I do, and it's actually doesn't work out very good. I should know by now not to do it, but I do it anyway. Let me get these three parts here. Oh, in the back. But what I do instead of sandpaper is I just kind of scrape the nubs down with the X-Acto blade. And the problem with that is, sure, it gets the nubs, but it could cut into the model, and so sanding down the nubs would be best. But now it says pick a back, so I've got like three choices here. I don't know if any of these represent a very specific historical frigate, so I'm just going to pick this one here, this top one, because it's there. Alright, so that leaves me with several parts there. Let's bring you all in just a little bit. Hopefully the lighting is still on it. Okay. I don't know if you can see the gray pieces on my gray table, but what I do for all the little nubs here that you'll get, I just take the X-Acto blade and just kind of scrape it down a little bit. Sandpaper, again, probably would be best because I have actually dug down into the models by accident trying to get all the little nubbing and flashing where it connected to the sprue. So I would think that by now I would have learned not to do that, but here we are, still doing this the same way. There you go, that nub looks gone. I'll do the bottom ones. Yeah, even on models where you might not see the nub, I still get them just because I know they're there. Okay, that one's a little tricky. That one's pretty much gone. Yeah, if I get good enough with the sprue cutter, sometimes I really don't have to trim it down. Okay, so that one's done. That's done. We'll do this piece here. So generally, looks like with these, kind of cleaning the piece up might be the most difficult part, or time-consuming part. It's not really difficult to get those nubs off. Just time-consuming. There we go. And one more. So I don't know if you can see the nubs along the top there, but there's 3. So a nub right here, a nub right there, and one there. So if I just kind of gently is the key. I guess I've gotten used to the X-Acto blade because when you're kind of shaving the nubs, you can feel quite easily when the blade is catching plastic that's standing up, and then when it gets really smooth, and then the nubs are pretty much gone. Not too bad. Alright, one last piece, and then we'll cut more here in a minute, but we'll glue those together as per the instructions. Okay, that's done. And this one here, same as on the other hole, it's kind of in a spot where the hole kind of has like a sub-assembly where it drops down just ever so slightly, and so it's really hard to get at, so I might not be able to get at that one, but it feels pretty smooth already, so I won't worry too much about that. But I'll get this one right here. Alright, good. Yeah, see, now this one I did cut too deep into the plastic. I don't know if you can see that. So that one I did muck up. Alright, we'll dry fit to see how these look. There's nothing that sits inside the other piece, so there's no holes and pegs. You're going to have to do your best to build it around this whole part, it looks like. So I'm going to have to set that here. Okay. So it looks like that's kind of the point, is this deck and then probably that back piece. That's what's going to be the determining point on if you've got this thing built right. So I got to hold this in the front. Okay, so this part's a little fiddly. A lot of model kits, if you don't have much experience with model kits, they will have pegs and holes, so you stick it together. This doesn't have anything that's going to hold these two hole parts together, so I could hold them like this, put a little dab of glue, and then before it gets totally dry, I can stick the deck down and just try to shift all of this before the glue sets. So for this one, I use this Tamiya. I think it's like an extra fast. It's not like super fast drying, but it does dry quick enough that you don't have to hold it for a very long time. But it does give you just a couple seconds of wiggle room. So I'm just trying to think how best to approach this because there's no guide pegs or anything like that. I like this glue too. It's kind of a liquid glue, liquid cement, because the liquid, it will get down into seams. I really like it. It will run along the length of like this deck, for instance, and try to weld it to the hole. So I'm just going to put a little dab on the front. And then, now it's going to break off. I have to be kind of careful about this part here, because the glue has, I only put like a little dab just to kind of help hold the hole in place. And now what I can do is run some glue along the hole and deck and start to weld that together. And again, it doesn't take long before it's kind of got a grip on the plastic. Alright, and I was trying to be careful to align the front up. Okay, so far that's good. This back piece will then help to put it all together. So we'll just put some in here. Drop glue. Alright, we'll give that a second. Alright. And then that looks good. I'm going to run some along the bottom here. And down there. And this seam here. You can even, probably can't see it on camera, but when I put it, the glue just kind of really, the capillary action sucks it up into the lines there. So I can see the glue is in there. And I'm just going to hold this here because the front here was kind of trying to kind of peel apart a little bit. So I'm going to just hold that for a few seconds so that the glue will start to hold that together better. Well, there we go. We've got the deck and the two hull pieces. So with just a little bit of planning, you can get that. Now, a couple hours this will be pretty good, but like I probably wouldn't even start trying to paint this till tomorrow, because by then the glue and everything will be super strong. It like melts the plastic together, so you get, like, you could break the model. Like if you try to snap pieces off, it'll snap on the other, each side of the joints. Like the joint is then going to be stronger than the plastic. So it's really good glue. I'm just trying to line stuff up a little bit here. Little minor adjustments before it fully sets to try and make everything look flush. Alright, now with that basic part there, so there's the frigate. It does say masts are next. It does have you putting down, what is it, the bow piece there, like last. I'll probably put that on. That way I don't have to hold this awkwardly to try and get that in there and hurt the masts. So I'll probably put that front piece on now. Looks like that. Well, probably what I'll do is this front piece and then the bow. Work those together. Now let's see, it does say step 5, so I'm wondering if, well, I see my two, I don't know if those are even called bow piece, I don't know what those are called, but the figureheads, I don't think these are numbered in any way, so you're just going to have to look. So this here is the part off the front. Yeah, well, even though it's not numbered, so this isn't like a scale model kit, but, oops, but it's easy enough to kind of figure out what it is they want you to put on there. Okay, and we'll cut that one. And that plastic is pretty thin. That one's one of the kind of the spindly ones. And I don't like the way that it connects right here in the corner with that sail. So I'll probably cut a little wide, and then I'm going to trim that up with the X-Acto blade. I hate to do that, but sometimes they don't put these in very good. I'm sure this was good for the model maker to do it that way and the way that it fit into their mold machines, but I didn't like it. Okay, so now I just got to be careful with the little bit of nubs. I've worked with a lot more fiddly pieces than this before. This is actually a lot better than I thought. So that's one nub gone. And second nub gone. And then right in here, this corner was a nub. And even if I didn't get it, probably wouldn't even notice, because it's part of the folded up sail. Alright, well, you probably can't really see very well on the camera, but the nubs are gone. So there's the front. And how does that go? Dry fit. Oh, it's even got a little spot for it. So for me, the trick is going to be making sure that this is level. So before I glue that in place, we got to rotate this around a little bit, get it level, and doesn't quite look right. That's going to be the challenge today. Get in there. I'm sure, even if it's just close enough, it would probably look okay. But I don't want it to look just okay. I want that to look pretty good. That's probably pretty good right there. That looks about right. It's like the more I fiddle with it, the worse it looks. I think I should have just left it. It might have been good where it was, but not that my eyeballs are that perfect in making sure things are lined up, but that's definitely off. Yeah. So again, just get it close enough. Yeah, but it's like, but I know it's not quite right. I don't think these are going to get just perfect. Let's go with that. That's probably pretty good. So we'll glue that in. There we go. Let that glue get down in there. Alright, so that will start to dry into place. Yeah, you know, close enough. Close enough. Alright, so far so good. I'm just going to set that to dry for a moment. And we'll go ahead and let's get that figurehead. And I think the 3 frigates I have, oh good, there's 3 figureheads. I didn't realize that at first, but there's the other one. So we'll go with the unicorn on this one. So that's nice. 3 frigates, 3 figureheads, 3 back pieces. So I can make ish 3 different frigates. Nice. The rest of it might look the same, but at least we'll have some differences. Yeah, I don't remember where I saw this, but it was on the forum, or I don't remember where I read it, but somebody was wondering what all did they do to make differences between the ships. Since these are kind of, from when I was reading the rule book, they're kind of generically based. That way you can play, a lot of different scenarios. So you're not limited to saying, once this is built, this is specifically that ship. So somebody was asking, well, what do you do then to make specific ships? Because I guess you might have a frigate, but there might have been a frigate in there that had 80 guns, or something that had 80 guns versus the normal 74. Well, I haven't seen anything that would let you modify or add guns. I mean, maybe if you were making a specific frigate that wasn't represented, you could cut guns off, or if you had a little bit of know-how, you probably could take some scrap plastic pieces and then just kind of make your own little cannons and stick some additional ones. You might have to do that. They might not make specific hull modifications beyond the back. Because like here I have 3 different back pieces, so one of those might actually represent a specific ship. So I'm going to say again, the point of this game was not to be historical, and they kind of made that clear even in the rule book. So you'll have to do some of your own research and then some of your own mods if you want to make very, very specific ships. Now they do have some, but I think they're mostly doing the bigger ships. So like Constitution, I think they got one, or the Invincible. So you might find that for the bigger ships, but kind of these smaller ones are probably a little bit more generic. Okay, so there's the unicorn, and you're going to fit in like so. Perfect. And it touches the front mast there. So we will now drop the glue in there. Let the capillary action soak up the glue. Probably over glue, but there you go. Now we have that front mast, the unicorn, head resting against it, and it's on there fairly level. Alright, so far that is where we're at. And that's the only reason I didn't put the masts on yet is because I knew I'd want to be manipulating the boat so I could turn it to put these other pieces on. Now the other thing too that I've heard is some people recommend not putting on the masts yet anyway. That way you can paint the masts separately, and then when you're painting inside for the hull, you don't have the masts in the way. Well, I'll probably just dry fit the masts for now. Since this is a plastic kit, a lot of times plastic kits, the pieces will hold pretty good on their own. It's just you won't really need to glue it until you're ready to hold it permanently. So again, we'll let that dry a little bit, and we'll go back now and take the masts and get those ready. And then we can do some of the details. I know you can put anchors. Now I'm not 100% sure where anchors would go. I mean, they go on the front, but I want to make sure that if I put the anchors, I put them in, pretty accurate spots. A couple boats there. And a lot of these, I've seen it where they got like the boat stacked. I've seen the boats on different pictures of how people have done their ships, where they've done like 2 boats, or looks like one boat's a little bigger, so they'll have, okay, looks like I've got 2 large boats. This sample picture looks like they've got 3 boats, so they got 2 of the large boats here, and then 1 little boat stacked inside a big boat. So I'm guessing there's a little bit of customization you can do there as far as how you want to set that up. If you even want to put boats, I probably will, just because that seems to be what a lot of people do. Okay, so let's cut the masts out. Snip 1, snip 2. Yeah, I gotta be careful with the snippers because the mast is trying to bend a little bit. And I don't want to break that off right away. Well, I don't want to break it off ever. Alright. Not bad. Then we'll get the nubs off. For these, I might actually just use the X-Acto knife. That's putting a lot of pressure on them though. The thing is, cutting these off, it's always scary because with the clippers, it can still force the plastic to bend a little bit because you're bending it away from where you cut, which could affect down, later on where this connects. So what I'm going to do is actually cut this closer to the sprue, and then I'm going to trim it up once I have it completely detached from the sprue. Okay, and I think that's the last nub down here. So that we'll have some big nubs to trim off, but again, I don't want to accidentally break these things, so we'll just kind of trim. These cutters are getting kind of old. I've had these for quite a while. Probably time to get new ones. Okay, so there's the three masts, and now we're just going to go through, get the nubs. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut. I'm going to leave these 2 pieces. These attach to, looks like the rear mast, but I'm going to leave those for now because knowing me, as I'm moving things around, I would probably brush them aside accidentally. So I'm going to leave those attached for now, and then we're going to look here, and so like there's a very big nub. Now since this is completely detached, I'm going to see if maybe I can get a little bit closer to the model. There we go, and get part of that big nub off. That will leave, it might be too small to see, but it left just a little bit of a piece. And I'm going to do the same here. See, the thing is, when it's actually in the sprue and you try to get in close and do things, it flexes against the other parts of the model that are still attached to the sprue, and then that's where you get a lot of flex. And that's not always good, because luckily this is a little sturdier than I thought they were. But again, I don't want to break a piece while it's still in the sprue. So now that it's fully detached, this will have a little bit more play when I take the cutter in here. Try to get in here. There we go. It's a little better. And again, that just gives me, makes it a little bit easier to clean that out because the nub then isn't so big. Alright, and there's no more big attachments on that one. Great, so now I just got to find the little nub sections. So here was a little nub. And again, if you are using sandpaper, they make like sanding sticks for places like this versus, say, a big sheet of sandpaper. I think that's probably why I started using X-Acto knives, was it was easier to get into some of these places. So, although I watch other YouTube modelers, and I think the sandpaper is probably the better way to go when cleaning these up. There we go. That mast is pretty good. Any imperfections in the plastic due to scraping is going to get taken away when we paint it up. Here's one more nub right here. Okay, just flip around, see if I can get that a little more. There we go, that looks good. Okay, that mast looks good. Now, that's the rear mast because it doesn't have any of the sails on it. So I'm going to do, like I said, just dry fit it for now. And, ooh, yeah, I'm not even going to push it down all the way. But that's actually a really, really snug fit. I might not even need to glue that. So for now, that's perfect. It's not even pushed down all the way, and that's holding up really good. Yeah, I would say if I let this dry for a few hours, I could probably play. I could start playing right away. I know. Who plays with unpainted ships? This guy. Yeah. I'm more of a gamer than a hobbyist, so building the stuff I like. Painting isn't always my specialty. So I'm happy with this game because with just a handful of ships I can play a lot of different engagements. Just swap out the stat cards. So I mean, at some point I'd love to have all my ships painted up. But to start with, I only need a couple painted up. Yeah. Yeah, when I play with my son, he doesn't care. He likes them painted. He likes to paint. But we'll play if they're not painted. You know, if 2 or 3 are painted and the rest aren't painted, we'll still play. Alright, one more mast. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't buy any more models until I painted all the ones I have. Yeah, that's not happening. Okay, this is one of the nubs I trimmed down with the clipper, so we'll just take it down a little bit more. And looks good. Will look even better when it's painted. And then a little bit of a nub here at the bottom. And I thought there was one more little nub, but I think that's that. I think that's all the nubs. So there's your masts. So we'll take this one, and again, it doesn't look like it needs to be pushed in there that much. Yeah, just enough to say, yeah, look, it's got masts. which way's the front here. I probably am putting these in wrong, but let's see. Oh no, this sail's on the front. Yeah. Okay. Yep, looks good. So I'll probably prime it like this and then take the sails specifically out to paint, and then I can worry about gluing stuff in. So yeah, before I even attach, well, they had them attached right here, and then I got this step here, A and B. After that, looks like that would be the bulk of the bits and pieces. Then it would just be a matter of, you know, putting the boats in there for detail. But yeah, overall, it's not a complicated kit. And as far as a dry dock, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with these. These are my first Age of Sail ships, and I'm really liking them. I think they'll fit good on the 6x4 table that I have. Yet my friend, he's got a huge table, and then he's got much smaller ships that he likes to play with. But he had ships though going well before Black Seas came out. And I think he does one 2400, so he does some from GHQ, and they're all metal too. So these are nice little plastic kits from Warlord Games. There was another company, Zvezda. They had put out an Age of Sail game. It was Armada Invincible was the game they put out, but their ship kits were like, they were scale model kits completely. Very intricate instructions, lots of pieces. So it was like they took model kits from their company and just stuck them in a game, which, you know, is cool. But they had very fiddly bits and pieces. Now, I'm only saying that because I never actually tried them out for myself. I've just saw, there's been a few videos on YouTube for it, but that game didn't seem to take off. I don't really see people playing it or see it played anywhere, which is a shame. But I guess the rules people weren't super happy with, and maybe the ships were a little complex. The base game came with like two, you know, rather large ships, but they looked rather complicated to put together. Let's see here. Last little nub bit to get. And then one little nubby. Alright, good enough. And then the instructions say, well, I'm not sure. I guess the shorter one is on the top and the more lengthy one is on the bottom, is what that looks like. So for this, I'm going to probably pop that mast off. You know, I might not glue those at all because some rules I've played, well, some rule sets I've looked at, when you, well, no, I might. I was going to say, if you don't rig your masts together, some games, when you lose a mast, you can actually take the mast off and lay it down on the ship to represent you lost the mast. But I just realized, well, if I'm going to go to the trouble of rigging this thing with all the thread, no, I'm not going to be popping these masts off. So yeah, I'll probably end up gluing these in place. Alright, so again, dry fitting. We said the short one on the top. It doesn't look like it matters if there's a top or bottom to this at all. I just know it's going to fit somewhere on this thing. Well, it fits together pretty good, like it's supposed to just kind of slide right in. So I'm going to go with that. And we're going to hope that that is what they wanted. And then this one looks like it's supposed to go fairly straight out. And again, that one fits in pretty good. It just pops right in. It does angle down slightly, but overall it's pretty level. It's like it fits in there pretty good. I'm going to have to, after I glue it, I can see I'm going to have to just kind of rotate this around so it's kind of coming out straight. Now let's flip it this way. Yeah, I don't want that down so much that it's hitting the ship. It's supposed to be, it looks like it does come down just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Alright, let's twist this one a little bit here before it sets entirely. Okay, and I'll have to fiddle with this one as well. So here comes some glue. There we go. Okay, I'm just looking to see how lined up those are. That's pretty good. And hopefully that's right. When I stick that back in there, hopefully it all fits well. Oh, I can see it. So, little problem that I've run into now is because I picked this one, it's got like that lantern lamp right there in the middle. Because this part doesn't go up necessarily, it kind of it doesn't quite want to sit. It doesn't want to play nice with that third lantern there in the middle. Oh man. Well, that sucks. So I can see right away. Well, the way they have it in the picture is it's sitting right on top of that lantern. So I'm going to just put this in such a way. Yeah, I'm going to have to fiddle with this to make it fit. Because when I push the mast down, it's going to lift this back up more and more. Yeah. Not a good start. Okay, I've got it up now. So let's see. The glue is setting a little bit, so it's help holding it in place better. Okay, there we go. Oops. There we go. Break. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. And then once we get the whole ship built, it'll put more bend on that piece or more pressure on there. But I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. I think I've got it positioned now that it's up. It's still fairly straight on to the back of the ship. And then once I am able to push the mast down more, it should have enough clearance that it's not going to interfere with that middle lamp there. So it might sit on the lamp, but we should be okay. And then still keep the mast kind of straight. So I think we saved it. I think we're okay. The other ships, because they had a, let's see, one had a single lamp. Yeah, one has a single lamp in the middle. And then this one's got two lamps on the end. So this one will have the least amount of problems. So it's this one here with the lamps in the middle that'll be kind of a pain. But there we are. Now, like I said, I'm going to pop the masts off. We'll put the ships and put other little details. But overall, that is one frigate. Not bad. I took my time trying to build it. I suppose if you do this enough, it'll go a lot quicker for you after a while. Now, these are just purely the plastic kits. The other kits that are resin and pewter, I don't actually have really good glue for that. I'm going to have to buy some actual better, glue, super glue, to do those. So for now, just this basic plastic kit is fine. Now, I don't know if the British and the French fleets that they have fleet boxes, and hopefully they get like an American fleet box. I'd like to get all of that. Hopefully those are more plastic than resin and pewter and whatnot, because plastic kits, I have no problem. I love putting together plastic kits. The other stuff is a little more scary. But there's a frigate. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've put any of these together, if you have tips, better tips than what I have that you can share with folks, please do. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, put the details on, and build my second frigate. And then one day we'll come back and do some kind of painting. Maybe we'll paint one up with you. What if I do paint? Let me see if I've got one of the sprays. I don't have it here. I got it in a box down here. But I'm going to do, my thought for painting is I'm actually going to do like a desert sand for the primer. Do the whole thing in desert sand. And the reason why I was thinking that is because once I put some shade on there, like either this Argax Earth shade, I think it's called, or a Reichland Flesh. Those are two shades from Games Workshops for like Warhammer. But when those are on that desert kind of color, the red pigment in the Earth shade and the Reichland Flesh really starts to make the desert sand look like wood. So that would be, I think, really good, like for the deck and whatnot. And then it'll fill in the lines of the deck. Then, you know, the parts that I don't paint on the sides of the ship will kind of have that reddish kind of wood, oakish color, I guess. And then, you know, the mast then I can do with another shade of brown to kind of make those look a little different but wood. And then I got some ideas for the sails here. And then once those are painted, I'm going to try and figure out how to do the rigging. That is the part I'm a little worried about because I've never done anything like that before. But I really want to give that a try with the thread. And what I might do if I don't use the thread, my friend, he showed me if you take broom bristles and cut them to length, you can kind of simulate the rigging. He did that on his much smaller scale ships, but on these larger scale ships that might even look pretty good too. But that way you don't have to wrap and make knots. You just cut your pieces to length and then glue them down, you know, to the different parts of the ship, and it looks like a rigging. And then once it's all painted up, looks good. So just some further ideas. But there we go. That's the basics. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it, and we'll see you another time. Maybe we'll actually be playing by the time I come back for this.